Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income. Listen and learn how 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate to create a lifestyle that most people only dream about. A lifestyle that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here is your host, real estate investor and mentor, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, where as always, we're talking about leading a more balanced life by including real estate in your investment portfolio. Real estate that produces permanent residual income for the rest of your life. This gives you the freedom to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whom you want, because you have enough income from your real estate that it pays all your bills and your wants and needs. Then your career becomes really the icing on the cake, your additional income for more fun, for more travel, or for saving, whatever you want to do with it. Whereas the average person, they think their job is the big boy. That's the important one. And it's really not. It's secondary to passive income. Now, on this show, I generally talk about them as equals because your job should be something that you love to do. So it's not just bringing you money, it's bringing you joy, happiness, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of accomplishment, things like that. So what I want to talk about today is why I have multiple mentors in my life and why I feel like really everybody should. The mentor, teacher, coach, whatever you like to call it, I prefer the word mentor, is the person that cuts literally decades off of the learning process. As I've told you many times before, I am more time motivated than I am money motivated. But I have to openly admit it's because I have the money that I have the time. So which comes first, the chicken or the egg? I'm not sure. I do know, though, that I've seen people destroy their lives chasing money. So to me, if you focus on time, which is life, think of that. When I say the word time, I'm talking about your life. Because what is your life? It's 75, 80 years. If you're lucky, you can get beyond that. But for most people, it's somewhere between 75, maybe 85 years of time. That's the big asset. And the reason it's so important and I prioritize it is because there's nothing you can do about it. Meaning, it's going to go by. I'm 55. I never thought I'd be 55. Thought I'd live forever. Sounds crazy, but if you look at the way younger people behave in their 20s and 30s, they don't think they're ever going to be 55. It doesn't register until you hit it. And then you go, holy Toledo, I'm 55. What the heck happened? And then it begins to dawn on you that you're going to be 85 one day. Hopefully, if you're lucky. Time is the big asset, not money. But again, I admit, if you have a lot of money, you can buy your life back from corporate America. You can spend more time with the family. You can spend more time romancing your wife. So again, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? So it's a kind of striking a balance between the two. Because as I said, I see so many people, they're working 70, 80 hours a week. I consult people who are making $300,000, $400,000 a year, but again, they work 60, 70 hours a week. They travel 2 or 3 weeks out of the month. They're away from their family. They're not raising their own kids. To me, that is awful. I don't care if you've got $10 million in the bank. If that's your life, that's awful to me. I'd be suicidal. I wouldn't have any interest in that, even for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. No interest. No, thank you. Because it's devouring what? Your life. Destroying it. Say, well, I make a lot of money. Who cares? I know tons of people who make huge amounts of money, and their life is a disaster. A disaster. You would not trade your life for theirs, even if they do make 10 times as much as you do. No, it has to be, in my opinion, life first, and then you figure out how to make money in a way that gives you more time, more life. And that's the passive income. And that's why I'm constantly stressing, build that second stream of income. If you don't do it with real estate, do it with some business. But real estate accounts for 70% of the millionaires in the U.S., so it's really the easiest, most effective way to do it. So when I talk about having multiple mentors in my life, there's really 5 main mentors that I have more than that for different arenas, but these are the main ones: fitness, family, romance, wealth, and career. Those are the 5 big ones. And I'm going to focus on wealth because it's the easiest to explain for how it saved me massive amounts of time having a mentor. Fitness the same way. I could do the fitness one as well, but I'll stick to wealth. And again, career is not your wealth. Wealth is your passive income, your investment income. They're 2 different things. So many people confuse their career with their wealth, and that's why 95% of Americans fail to retire, is because they don't understand that those are 2 different things. Your career is just what you spend your time on. And the idea of climbing the corporate ladder, waiting for people to die, waiting for people to quit, waiting for people to get fired so you can move up, ludicrous to me. That's all luck. That's like crystal balling it. No interest in that. I want to take control of my time by building these passive streams of income. But to build those passive streams of income requires a certain amount of knowledge. And it's a very intense, high-level amount of knowledge. Not that it's too hard for you to do. That's not my point. I'm not trying to scare you away from investing in real estate. It's a high level of knowledge. So let's think about your job right now. When you first took your job, you thought you knew what you were doing, didn't you? You thought you knew. But 10 years later, did you not look back and go, man, I had no earthly idea what I was doing? What if you could cut that 10 years of knowledge down into 2 days? Instead of waiting 10 years to know what you know, what if you could do it in 2 days? Would you do it? We'll talk more after the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Did you know that 95% of Americans fail to retire by age 65 and 36% are dead? The good news is that here at the GetRealWealth.com radio show, we know what the other 5% are doing. 70% of them own real estate. We are a mentoring group for new and experienced real estate investors. We will show you how to build a second stream of income that will allow you to retire at any age. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, please go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking about time, money, how they relate, and really knowledge as well, and how you've got to align those things to be able to get out of life what you really want. Otherwise, it literally takes decades to learn how to do what you need to do in life. This is why so many people get frustrated and They get burnt out because they're not learning the easy way. They're doing it the hard way, the trial and error method. And the problem is those errors exist and can literally set you back another decade. But wouldn't it be nice if you could cut those decades off? And that's why I have mentors in literally every arena of my life. Now, some of these mentors are just, I only know them through their books and CDs and videos and so on. Nothing wrong with that. If you go back 30 years ago when I started, I had Dave Delgado, Tommy Vu, this couple called the Milans, Carlton Sheets. Who else? Good Lord, Robert Allen. I should put them on a shelf so I can read them off. I mean, just dozens of mentors. And the power, not only did it cut off decades from my learning curve, it allowed me to do deals that other people couldn't, because I had a tremendous number of people around me that had a mentor. And this mentor was the mentor. And everything they said, that's all you needed. You don't need more than one mentor. This guy's a god. Sorry, haven't met one of those yet. I knew how to do deals 10, 15 different ways. And then my friends only knew one way. They would miss deal after deal after deal after deal that I would do simply because I knew it. This is why not only do I have a mentor in every arena, I have mentors in every arena. You look at fitness. Who's my main mentor? Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've read every book he's ever written. His encyclopedia of bodybuilding is destroyed, where I have written in it, torn pages out, studied it, dog-eared it, beat it up. I'm probably on my third copy. But I also read The Diamonds. If you remember them, I think it's Fit or Fat was the name of the book. I've read dozens of books on health and fitness. I wouldn't consider everyone my mentor, but there's definitely 4 or 5 people that I've read that I've used their material to keep myself fit for 55 years. When it comes to wealth, I probably have 12 or 13 mentors, and I've learned something from each of them. Some good, some bad. But this is why you shouldn't be shocked when I tell you to, join my club, let me mentor you. But don't hesitate to join another club and get a second opinion. I did it. Why would I tell you not to do it? You know, a guy came in, joined my group the other day, and I sent him to Lifestyles Unlimited. They're like, that's your competition. First off, they're not my competition. I'm not their competition, unless you put that in your head. But that's a scarcity mentality concept. Sorry, you're weak if you think that way. We're quite different, even though we do a couple of things the same. But for me to not, this, by the way, let me describe this individual. Maniac. Just like me. He wants to lead deals. He wants to be a syndicator. He wants to learn the full spectrum of apartment ownership. And he's got some money and credit to back it up. And I said, Del Walmsley is a brilliant teacher. I would be a fool to tell him not to take his courses as well, because I'd be a hypocrite as well, because I took, like I said, 12 or more different courses on real estate investing, and every one of them, and this is my thing, time may not be as important to you as to me, it cut years. Some of them cut decades off of my learning curve. That's the only word I can think of. But it's more than that. It built my confidence. It built my courage. It does so many things. Literally, I took this week-long boot camp, and I forget who it even was. It may have been Carlton Sheets. I'm not sure. It's been so long. It's been 27, 28 years. Oh, maybe longer than that. But I took this week-long boot camp, and when I came out of there, I was fired up. I was encouraged, inspired, you name it. That was the cheapest investment I ever made in myself. And I'm sure it was $4 or $5 grand. Cheapest investment I ever made in myself, highest rate of return, because it propelled me forward and saved me years, even decades off of the learning curve. So for me, and let me address the people who think that money is more important than time. Think about this. If you're on your deathbed and you have $4 million in the bank, and somebody walks in and says, I can give you another year of your life for your $4 million, guess what you're going to do? That $4 million is gone. You want that another year on this planet with the people you love, people you care about, the fun, the romance, everything. You're like, hey, take my $4 million. If you don't believe me, I told this story yesterday. Onassis offered his entire fortune, billions of dollars, to a masseuse if he could heal him. And of course the masseuse could not, but he told him, you can drop me off at the next island, naked. You can have everything. Clothes, jewelry, cars, houses, ships, shipping industries. You can have it all if you can heal me. See, time is the most important thing. And as you get more money, you start to recognize that even more. Even more. So, why get mentors? To save your life. And by life, I'm talking about your time. It saves massive amounts of time. Massive amounts of time. Keeps you from making mistakes. Builds your confidence. It's insane how good a value getting a mentor is. They do have to be competent, but even some of the names that I mentioned, some of them weren't that great, but it didn't matter. I learned something from them. Incredible things. Sometimes the whole workshop was useless except for this one thing, this one strategy that I used 15 times over the next 12 months and made myself a couple $100 grand from one idea. So that's why I have mentors, and that's why I recommend you get mentors. You're having trouble with your romance? Read some books on marriage and romance. You're having trouble communicating with your kids? Read some books on communicating with your kids. Don't try to trial and error it. This is the other funny thing. If you're having trouble communicating with your kids, guess what? You don't have the skills yet. You don't have the resources to do it. And you're not going to find them suddenly by just thinking about it. It's going to take you years and decades to think about it and figure it out. Why don't you read a book and figure it out in 2 days? By the way, the greatest book you can ever read on raising kids is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and get them to read The 7 Habits for Teenagers or The 7 Habits for Kids. Get on the same page and start communicating that way. But the bottom line for me is I'm a time-sensitive guy, not a money-sensitive guy. I want time, and having a mentor has saved me decades, given me decades of free time, and I'm not exaggerating, decades worth of free time so that I could romance my wife, spend time raising my own kids, to be involved with charity, to be involved with whatever. Yeah, it's the most incredible thing you'll ever experience when you get one and you see the changes that it makes in such a short period. So, okay, there's my big spiel on why you need a mentor. And again, the spiel is you need multiple mentors in each arena. Don't ever let one person say it's their way and only their way, because that is flat out a lie. It's ineffective. It is indoctrination, if that's the right word to use, into a theory that there's only one way to do it. Wrong. I have learned, especially over the last 2 years, by meeting multiple investors that were not part of the group I was with, and seeing that they were successful doing it differently. You know, this one guy had, I want to say, 1,000 units. He had done it completely different from what I had done it, the way I had done it. Okay, this is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. The phone lines are now open. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. You're listening to AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. %70 of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle. Listen to the GetRealWealth.com radio show to find out how you can do it too. Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV. GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. The phone lines are open. It's 281-558-5738. 281-558-5738. And don't worry about the discussion I just had. You can ask me anything. You got a problem with your current rent property. Maybe you've never owned a piece of rent property and you're a little leery about doing it, got a few fears holding you back. Share with me those fears, and I'll share with you a way to get past them so that you can take action on this goal I keep preaching about, which is get enough passive income that it meets and exceeds your wants and needs. So call me at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Let's head to emails now. My email is open at AskSteve@GetRealWealth.com. AskSteve@GetRealWealth.com. We got a listener in San Antonio, Tim, who's looking for a property manager in San Antonio, and I do have a referral for you. It comes with a caveat. Let me give you the referral first, and I will email you his contact. His name is Steve Rosenberg, Mind.co, MYND.co, not com, MYND.co. Check them out. They're highly credible. Steve is a great guy. Now, the caveat is, why aren't you managing it yourself first? Make sure you look at both options to make sure you're making the right decision. I used to only recommend property managers 20% or so of the time for my clients. But I'm now, after having the 2 years off to meet other investors outside of my old group, there's different ways to do it. Different people have different goals. They have different abilities. And there are some people that couldn't sell sugar to fire ants. They just can't sell. They're horrible at it. Guess what? You shouldn't be managing property, because what is property management? Sales. Sales. It's all sales. So, Tim, I want you to honestly assess yourself. Do you have some sales experience? Are you a good salesperson? If you are, and you've got less than 20 units, 20 houses, I recommend you run it yourself first. Try to run it yourself. You're going to get the highest rate of return. And with all due respect to Mind and all property management companies, you're going to care a little bit more than they are, because it's your property. It's your baby. You're going to care more. That's all there is to it. If you're not effective at it, you find out that you also can't sell sugar to fire ants, let it go. Take a little less cash flow, put a property manager in there that can sell sugar to fire ants, and let them manage it. And you get out there focused on adding to the portfolio. Because obviously, if you've got that many houses, you're good at accumulating the real estate, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're good at managing the real estate. The other question I would have for you, Tim, do you have a mentor? Do you have someone teaching you property management? Have you taken a property management course? Ask yourself those questions as well, Tim, as you decide whether you're going to use a property manager or whether you're going to manage them yourself. Good luck, Tim. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Next one comes from Teresa. She says, or asks, I'm trying to get started in wholesaling because I think it's the easy way to start since I have no money. Is this a good idea? Teresa, it's a very good idea to get started, especially if you've got the no money challenge. The thing you must remember, write it down, study it, memorize it. Wholesaling is a job. It's not real estate investing. It is a good way to get into investing if you don't have any money or credit, but make sure that you don't stay at it too long. Don't stay at it too long. Make sure that as soon as you have saved up enough to buy a rent property, stop wholesaling, buy a rent property, then you're back to square one. You spent your money, then go back to wholesaling to generate money to buy your next rent property. Remember, rental property is an investment. Rental property produces permanent residual income, whereas wholesaling, you got to do it every month after month, year after year, decade after decade, if you don't build that passive income. It is a job. It's no better than a job, but it is a great way to get your feet wet, to build your confidence, and save up some money. I'm assuming you have a job as well, Teresa. This would be secondary income. That secondary income should go towards buying rent houses. Hope that helps, Teresa, and good luck. Phone lines are open for your questions right now, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, we've got a new tenant question from Ashley. She says, I have my first property. I'm going to put it online for rent this week. Any advice on questions I should ask potential tenants? This is, Ashley, I'm going to actually call you because this is kind of complex. This would take a whole show to do, and I guess she's trying to tell me, would you do a show on how you screen tenants? But some of the first questions that you ask, the way that I handle it, Ashley, and this has been very effective, I go on my little spiel where I describe the property, number of bedrooms, number of baths, number of car garage, price, deposit, all the requirements, and then I finish by going, does that sound like something that would be beneficial to you and your family? Is that something that will fit in your budget? So it's a double question. Is it right for your family? Meaning, is it big enough? Does it have enough bedrooms? And does it fit in your budget? Then, if they answer yes, yeah, that's the perfect size and I can afford it, great. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Have you leased before? Where are you leasing now? What's your current rent? See, there are a ton of questions you want to ask Ashley. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email you my phone number, and you call me back, and we'll spend about 20 minutes. I can get it out in about 20 minutes, I think. So watch for that email, Ashley. Thanks. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Okay, the next one is from RJ. Has anybody installed a sub-meter on a small property, in this case a duplex, or know a company that makes sense? I talked with the city, and they didn't really understand what I was trying to do. They wanted to put in a whole new main line, digging a new water line, blah, blah, blah. Well, what this sounds like, RJ, is that they've got one entrance into the home that services both units. But as far as doing another water line, that must be because their meters are at the street. Yeah, this very well could be accurate, RJ. You know, when I separated the meters at a apartment complex, a small apartment complex, a 10 unit, they put the meters, they had to run lines down the sides of the building. So it could be that that is necessary, RJ. The more I think about it, it is. Because they've got to have those water meters, and you can't run two lines off of one water meter and have different measurements. Yeah, it sounds like that's right. And the other thing is, RJ, come on, water bill's $20-$30 a month. You know, on some of these little places, 60 maybe. You know, you could do rubs. In other words, get the water bill and split it between the two of them. There are better ways to do this, RJ. I'm going to have to email you because you're going to need to call me on this so we can talk about the way the property lays and how far it is to run that line. You know, if it's close, it might be worth it, but I doubt it. It's just not. I don't think it's going to be worth it, RJ, but I'll send you my phone number and we'll talk. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. Let's go to Baytown now and talk to Joe. Joe, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to start off by saying I've been listening to your show for a while, and I've really been inspired by some of the information you've shared.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
You bet. So I recently inherited property from my father, but I have to split it with my siblings, and they've agreed to let me pay off their portion, and then of course I'm trying to find the best way, I guess feasibly, to pay off their part without me having to go and get another home loan against it, or maybe considering getting an equity loan against the one I'm trying to purchase.
Well, do you have a home? Why are you worried about getting a mortgage?
Well, the amount of money is a little bit more than I have in cash, really, you know, to pay off their part. So I could do an equity loan against, I guess, my house. I have another home.
Okay.
And I could use that money to pay them off, but I'm just not real sure what's the best angle, basically.
And what is this house worth that you inherited?
It's a little over, well, let's just say the tax property was estimated at $120,000.
Okay, so it's probably worth a little more than that, maybe
yes.
Even a lot more than that, depending on the area. But what I would do, Joe, is I would run a cash flow analysis on it, find out what the comparable rents are, and I bet you money that even if you go get a mortgage on this house at 70%, you're going to make $300 or $400 a month profit off of it. And the renter will pay your mortgage, and you can pay off your siblings and still have, you know, $20,000 or $30,000 left over to go and buy one or two more rent properties. So that would be what I would do, Joe. I certainly wouldn't get a line of credit on my home, because it'd be better to refinance your home. If you've got a tremendous amount of equity in there, it'd be better to refinance it with the correct skills, Joe, and use that money to buy more rent properties. But let's just leave your home out of it. I don't like the idea of getting a line of credit on that. I would prefer, if it were me, I would just go refinance that house 70%, don't go more than 75%, and pay off your siblings and take the rest of the money and buy some more rent properties.
Sounds good. I heard that you have a 2-hour program coming up here. Is that here in Houston?
Yeah, it's right here at Kirkwood and I-10 on the west side, and it's this Thursday evening from 6:30 to 8:30.
Fantastic. See if I can't sign up for that and get a chance to meet you.
Okay, I appreciate it, Joe.
Appreciate your advice, and I'll see what I can move forward with that.
Okay, Joe, thanks a lot. All right, anybody that does want to meet me can come out Thursday evening. Again, it's 6:30 to 8:30, and we are done and out of there before 8:30. Go to GetRealWealth.com. GetRealWealth.com. In the upper right-hand corner, it will say free workshop. Just click that button. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Did you know that 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle? You can and should have some real estate in your portfolio. This is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Starting with bad credit and no money at age 27, I began investing in real estate. By 30, I was retired. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, we are in the final segment of today's show, so you need to call now. 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@GetRealWealth.com. asksteve@GetRealWealth.com. Remember, if you're not near your email and you think of a question after the show, you can email me anytime. Excuse me, I love doing this. It's fun for me. So don't hesitate to email me 24/7, and I will get back with you either on the air or by email. If I answer on the air, I'll always email you to make sure you heard the answer. And then if not, we'll email back and forth till you get the answer. Ask Steve at GetRealWealth.com. Here's a good question. How much do I need to put down for a 4-unit if not owner-occupied? The answer is going to be somewhere between 25 and 30% if you go conventional. Then you have to pay for your rehab cash as well. This is part of the reason why I never use conventional to buy single family, 4 units or below. It's because you have to put a giant chunk down, and you have to pay your closing costs, and you have to pay the rehab all out of your pocket. What you want to do, June, is use a hard money loan if possible. In other words, June, does this need some rehab? Almost every property does. So I can't imagine it wouldn't qualify for a hard money loan. Use a hard money loan, and you can get in for out of pocket somewhere between 10, 15, maybe 20% down total. Not 30% down and rehab and closing costs. 10, 15, 20% down total. Because that loan includes the rehab and can include the closing cost. Depends on how good of a deal you get. So my opinion, June, do not use a conventional loan because your out-of-pocket is going to be at least 3 times as high as if you use a hard money loan. Sure, it has a higher interest rate, but you only use the hard money loan for 2, 3 months max. But it keeps your down payment a third of what it would be if you use conventional. So make sure you learn about hard money loans before you go out and buy that fourplex. Good luck. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. All right, this is a tough one. I actually read this one before the show, so I don't know if Josh is listening. Like I said, I'll email him to make sure he heard it. If he didn't, then I'll answer it through email. But I just had my tenant move out of the property and attempt to sublease to a random individual. Luckily, this random individual decided to contact me and inform me of what a mess the property was in before she moved her stuff in. She was not a qualified tenant, okay? That's good news for you. You didn't make that mistake. I changed the locks and am looking for a tenant. Do I owe the tenant, the original tenant, any notification, or can I proceed to get a new tenant in there ASAP? Yes, they broke the lease. I would not pursue the old tenants because it's generally a waste of time unless it's massive damage. I'm assuming that it's just a mess from the way you phrased your email. That means just pay somebody to go in there and take everything out and throw it away. Get the place cleaned up and ready for your next tenant. If they did damage, such as missing doors, holes in the wall, cracked tile, then you got to document everything and take them to court. This, as a rule, is not effective. My first point is going to be, Josh, is that how did those tenants get in here? Were those inherited tenants and maybe you had nothing to do with it? Or did you let them in? If you let them in, you need to look at your screening technique, because if these just seem like scammers, they leave the place a mess, they're such scammers, they try to release it, they seem... Here's the rule, Josh. Tenants don't turn bad after they move in. They're bad before they move in. It's our job as the owners of the property to not let them in. Josh, did you run a credit and criminal report on these guys before you let them move in? My imagination tells me that you didn't. Did you talk to the previous 2 landlords, maybe even 3 landlords? It appears you didn't, because they don't turn bad afterwards. They're bad before. So, Josh, I'm going to email you and give you some parameters for leasing and some steps to leasing that should prevent this in the future. But for now, get in there, assess the damage. If it's really bad, pursue it. If it's not, let it go. Focus on getting it fixed up and released so that cash flow starts coming in. Just make sure that this time you screen your tenants like a bear. Don't let anybody in there that's not perfect. Okay, let's look at these next emails. There's 2 or 3 of them here. I've only got a minute or so to go. Let me do this one about getting deals through attorneys. This is from Emmanuel. And do any active wholesalers get leads through attorneys? And the answer is yes. I have gotten, not a lot, because I like to use realtors and other wholesalers, but I've gotten a few deals from divorce attorneys. I've gotten a few deals from attorneys who were working on estates. In other words, people pass away. They say, look, the siblings don't want it. You can buy it, and I buy it. So the answer is yes, but it's not a huge source, Emmanuel. I would make sure that you line up a group of agents to help you find deals and a group of wholesalers to help you find deals, not just rely on an attorney. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.